All right, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time of the day you will be watching this video. Welcome to chapter 2, and that's job order cost system. In this chapter, we have 5 learning objectives. This video will concentrate on the learning objective 1. And in this learning objective, we're going to be describing cost system and the flow of cost in a job order system. Let's do this. Now, what is cost accounting? Cost accounting focuses on capturing the total or the unit cost of production. So it involves the measuring, recording, reporting product and service cost. Costing is so important because it helps to determine how much to charge, how much unit is produced, how much profit you're making, how much did it cost you to produce a total or a unit cost to enable you, see if you're making profit or you're making a loss. All right, so what is cost accounting system? This is the framework used by firms to first estimate the cost of their products, two, to analyze profit. It helps to control cost, and then it helps in inventory evaluation. Now, let me note here that the cost accounting system uses the perpetual inventory system, and this is a system that provides immediate up-to-date information on the cost of a product. All right, so there are two basic types of cost accounting system. There are more, but we have two basic ones, and that is the process cost system and the job order cost system. Now, what is the process cost system? This is a system that is used when a company manufactures a large volume of similar products. But we're going to deal with this in full in next week. Okay. Now, what is job order cost system? In the job order cost system, the company assigns product cost to each job or to each batch. All right, so an example of what a job will be making a set of furniture for a customer, or you're producing a particular movie. While a batch is going to be, an example of a batch is going to be, like producing a weekly newsletter. So one thing to note about job order costing is each job or each batch has its own distinguishing characteristics, its own distinguishing features. And a company can decide to use both the process cost system and the job order cost system. All right. Just like we said in chapter 1, for most of the part of this chapter 2, we're going to be dealing with the manufacturing company, and we'll also touch on service companies. The flow of product cost, that is our direct materials, direct labor, manufacturing overhead in a job order cost accounting, parallels the physical flow of the materials, as they are converted into their finished goods and then they're sold. So what is this order? First, companies accumulate manufacturing costs in the form of raw materials, in the form of factory labor, and in the form of manufacturing overhead. Then next, they assign this manufacturing cost to work in process inventory as they get job orders or they get to do their batches. Then third, when a job is complete, they're finished with a particular order or job or batch, the company transfers the cost of the job to finished goods inventory. Then lastly, when the goods are sold, the company transfers the cost to cost of goods sold. So we're going to show this in a T account in the next slide, not this one. All right, so what we said was that the first thing they do is to accumulate. So we have our raw materials. So I'm going to call it raw materials. So that would be my direct materials. That's what I should have named it. Okay. I have my direct labor or factory labor. And then I have my manufacturing overhead, which I always call MOH. So whenever I accumulate, my product cost, it comes into the debit side of the account. Okay, so this is accumulated. At this point, we have not yet put this accumulated cost to any specific job. All right. Now, when we want to do a batch, somebody, a client gives us an order, to produce that furniture for us. Then we go through the process, of getting our direct materials, our direct labors are clocking in, and the manufacturing overhead cost. So what we do next is to transfer the whole of this cost, right, into our walk-in process. And we do this by assigning. When we assign, what we do is to credit, the raw materials, credit our direct labor if it's used, and the manufacturing overhead, and then transsign and assign them into our walk-in process. Okay. When we are done working on our goods, we're finished, we're complete, we credit the walk-in process. So this becomes complete. Credit it and transfer it to our finished goods. You guys are gonna have to bear with me with my handwriting, okay? To the finished goods, all right? And that becomes what? A debit. Once we are able to, finish and we sell these goods, the next thing we do is, sold, you credit, and then you transfer this to your cost of goods sold, okay? And that becomes a debit too. So again, this particular flow mimics, just the way it is done. So we have the raw materials accumulated first. We accumulate the raw materials, the direct labor, the manufacturing overhead. When we are now trying to make a specific product for a client or to do our batch production, then we assign, okay? We assign what we have to the walk-in process, finished goods, and then the cost of goods sold. Okay. All right, so accumulating manufacturing cost is where we will stop for in this video. In the next video, we're going to be dealing with assigning manufacturing cost. All right, when a company accumulates manufacturing cost, they debit at least one of the manufacturing costs, like we did in the last slide. So they're either debiting, direct material, direct labor, or manufacturing overhead. When these costs are incurred, it usually does not attempt, that's very important, to associate the cost with a specific job. The company makes additional entries to assign manufacturing costs incurred to a specific job. So we assign when we have a specific job. We accumulate, just put it into the debit side. Once we begin to assign, we credit the direct material, direct labor, manufacturing overhead, and assign it to the walk-in process. Okay, please, so important, keep that in mind. All right, so we're going to be dealing with an example, and I want you, as usual, to pause the video. Try to do it on your own. Just, think about what we've done and try to do it on your own, and then come back to see if what you did, is the same thing with what I have done or what we have done, with what the answer is. So we said during January, its first month of operation, Dicker Company accumulated the following manufacturing costs. It accumulated raw material purchased, 4,000 on account, factory labor incurred 6,000, and the factory utility payable, which is 2,000. Prepare separate journal entries, for each type of manufacturing cost, and then use January 31st for this date. Now, all right, so we have the first thing, we're going to prepare journals, what the T account said. So we have January 31st. And the first thing we say, when we're accumulating, it goes to the debit side, okay, of the manufacturing cost. So here we have our direct materials, and we have it to be 4,000. Basically enough. And then accounts payable, because it was bought on account. I hope you still remember that from Financial Accounting 101, okay? So we have January 31st. We have factory labor. Excuse me. So factory labor. Again, when you are accumulating, all you're doing is debiting the product cost as they're incurred. So we have factory labor incurred was 6,000, and then we have it to be payroll liabilities. I hope you remember this from accounting class, which is 6,000. And then lastly, we're told that factory utilities. So factory utilities is a manufacturing overhead cost because you cannot trace it to a particular product. Okay, so January 31st, we have it as MOH, and then I have utilities payable. Cost has not been paid for. So our MOH here is 2,000, and then our payable is 2,000 credit. All right. I hope this has helped to help you understand what it means to accumulate manufacturing costs. So again, the manufacturing cost is a debit. We have the debit of the raw materials, debit of the factory labor, and the manufacturing overhead. In this video, we learned about cost accounting system. We said we have two types of cost accounting system: process costing, job order costing. And we focus on job order costing, emphasizing on accumulation of costs. So in the next video, we will talk about assigning costs. See you there.